guys, my name is Sky Good, and today I want to talk to you about cable restraints made by Brian McKee at Southern Snares. For years, Brian and his family have supported my trapping lifestyle, and as part of that support, I've been his guinea pig for trying out every combination of cable restraint components as legal in our state. And I think that Brian would agree that we've come up with the perfect cable restraint that follows Wisconsin regulations, but also allows trappers to be successful navigating those regulations. So today I'm going to talk to you about what I call the Wisconsin Special, which is basically a 1x19 cable restraint legal in Wisconsin. So to start, Brian uses premium Korean cable, and all his components are tested and tried long before we put them out on the market. So every year I keep a bundle of old cables, whether they're from successful catches, breakouts, chewouts, misses, anything that a canine has touched. And Brian would have me send them to him in the off season, and he would study where the coyote was chewing, how they broke out, and all those things. So every year I would send those to him, and he would, through trial and error and lots of studying, send me new cables to try out. And a few years ago, he sent me the 1x19 cables, and so far I've ran them 3 seasons, and I've only had one coyote escape because he opened the breakaway device. And I'll talk a little bit about that and why that issue occurred later. So the cables that I'm going to talk about, they all meet Wisconsin law from the bottom to the top. So they all have a swivel at the very bottom. Again, that's required. Going up the cable, they have a deer stop, a max loop stop, which is 12 inches, the reverse bend washer lock, the breakaway device, and the 2.5-inch deer stop at the bottom. So those are all of the regulated components of cable restraints in our state. There's really no way to deviate from some of those. But we have a little wiggle room in some of the other extras that would make you more successful. So one thing that the Wisconsin Special cable restraints have is the option of having this inline mid swivel. So this swivel has been tested at 900 pounds, and it basically adds 2 other swivels a little ways, about halfway up the cable. So the last few seasons in Wisconsin, when the cable restraint season opened December 1st, we didn't have any snow. So this bottom swivel, when I caught coyotes, would get clogged with grass and debris. If this swivel gets clogged and the animal is turning and it's not able to turn with the animal, this cable restraint will kink and do what we call bird caging. So all of these strands won't be able to swivel freely anymore, and they'll unravel and look like a bird cage. Coyote knows this. They'll sense this weakness, and they, just like they have a pair of cable cutters in their mouth, they'll go right to that bird cage and snip through each strand and break free. So having this extra swivel halfway up, I've never had one get clogged with any debris because it's halfway up the cable. And then if this one gets clogged, you still have these moving freely. Another thing that I really like about these cables is, again, just that 1x19 cable. So for years and years, Wisconsinites thought that the 7x7 or the 7x19 was the only legal cable. And this is because we have a cable restraint manual that is put out when you do trapper's education. And in there, and that was maybe 15 years ago that was published, but in there they suggest using cables such as 7x7 or 7x19, and that's what this one is here. It's a good cable, but it's a lot weaker and super easy for coyotes to just chomp right through it and break free. It also doesn't close as fast because you do have all of this less smooth cable. So they don't, I mean, they're all preloaded, but this is a slower closing cable. And really the regulation just says the cable restraint must be made of multiple strands. So the 1x19 is perfectly legal, and it's a much stronger, smoother, and faster closing cable restraint. The Breakaway Device is another component of our cables that has a little bit of a wiggle room. So up until just a few years ago, 285 pounds was the only required poundage for cables. But with the future of the wolf season and all those options, they did increase the poundage to 350 pounds. I read studies that coyotes that are caught in foothold traps, so one foot in a foothold trap, can still generate over 400 pounds of force. So when coyotes are caught in cable restraints, you know, they're caught around the neck, they have their full body movement and all four limbs. So they're definitely generating much more than 400 pounds of force. So I suggest when you're buying the cables, just go for the 350 pounds because it ups your probability a little bit of keeping the coyote there in the morning, but still, sometimes you just can't help it. Like I said, the only coyote that I lost from the 1x19, he opened the Breakaway Device, and we have really heavy coyotes here in the north, so sometimes you just can't help it, and it's just what happens, and that's the nature of the game. So instead of doing the 285, just do the 350, get more bang for your buck. Also, the poly support is another optional component. So that is the little piece up here that connects the cable to the support wire. They come in several options. The two most popular though are the metal corkscrew universal supports and this little plastic poly collar. I really suggest the poly collar here in Wisconsin especially because we have, you know, strong winds, heavy snow, ice, and deer. And this poly support in the cold winter months will adhere to this support wire, and kind of like a saloon door, if a deer walks through, they're going to push it open and it's going to bounce right back to where it's supposed to be. And so the only reason that your cable should ever be knocked down when you're using these poly supports is when you caught something. So the 1x19, it's only a few dollars more per dozen to have these inline swivels. You can get them without the inline swivel if you'd like, and that's what this middle one is. Either way, much stronger, less likelihood of chewouts, and a much faster closing speed on these 1x19s. Southern Snares will have a booth at the convention in Marshfield next month. That is September 6th and 7th, and I will be there working the booth with Brian. He is based out of Georgia, but he's originally from Idaho, and like I said, for the last 8 years, he's been working with me on Wisconsin coyotes, so he can answer any questions you might have about building them. I can help demo them and show you the differences and kind of just chit-chat about different stories and weird things that have happened out there and the reason I am such an advocate for these 1x19s. I can show you how I prep mine. So here's a dozen of the 1x19s with swivels. I spray paint them tan, and then I will go through and individually tag them, put a quick link on, and then secure them to an earth anchor and then put them in a bag. So I can fit hundreds of these in a bucket when I go into a property, and they don't become tangled or anything, and they stay relatively scent free. So if you want to talk about that, come to the convention in Marshfield September 6th and 7th, and Brian will be there the entire weekend with his booth. I'll be there on and off to answer any questions and to just work there. Now, last year he made a lot of 1x19 cables, and we sold out Friday night, well, Friday early evening. So this year he's had his staff making a lot more. However, I anticipate they'll probably be sold out by midday Saturday. So get there early. Maybe you can pre-order. You'll have to talk to Brian and save on some shipping. But I cannot say enough about the 1x19 Wisconsin Special cable restraints. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in Marshfield next month.